Hi, my name is Byron Martin here at Logis Greenhouses, and today we're going to be talking about an African shrub, South African shrub, called Sclerochaton harveyanus. Its also common name is fanflower. This is a wonderful plant for hanging baskets. You can see we have a plant here that's been growing in a hanger for, it's been throughout the summer. This is probably potted in the springtime. And it actually is a very prolific bloomer, we found. This plant has been in bloom now for pretty much most of the time. A cutback, when it was pruned back, it actually slowed down its flowering a little bit, but it pretty much flowers year-round for us. There was a little slowdown there in late winter for us, but springtime brought on more blooms. And it's quite showy. It has these kind of purpley blue flowers. They do look like fans. This is a very vigorous plant, quite easy to grow. Apparently it really does need a good amount of sun to flower, although some shade or some diffusion will work, but low light it won't flower very well. It also has a relatively shiny, tough, leathery leaf, and in the time we've had it here in the greenhouses, we haven't had any bug problems with it at all. So there really doesn't seem to be much, at least in the northern greenhouse, that affects it. Root system is very strong, tolerates our constant feed here at Logis Greenhouses, where we're constantly putting in small amounts. Does very well. There hasn't really been any issues with too high salt levels or burning or anything like that. It actually has a fragrance to it. So it's actually a very sweet smelling plant. It's not like an overpowering smell, but it's definitely something where you can go up and put your nose into it and it will actually give you some delight. As far as growing the plant, it does need some pruning from time to time because it is, as I mentioned, quite a sprawler. You can see here's a branch that's been growing and the buds, the stem grew out, side branches come out, they're going back into flower. Tip was going back into flower, and I actually this was a stock plant of ours that was hanging up next to some other mother plants in our stock greenhouse. And there's a lead that actually, see how long the internode's on that, actually got stuck in the shade of some of the other plants. You can see how it actually elongated out the stem, that's the internode distance. Low light is actually not something that encourages flowering. As you can see, this branch here is, although there's a few buds coming on it, is not as floriferous as some of our other stems here that we've had. So definitely a plant that needs a fair amount of light, good full sun if you've got it. Plants can be pruned back periodically, and generally if the thing gets too high, you just want to do a light trimming on it like such. I'm cutting this one off because it's gotten kind of straggly, but it really does very well as an indoor plant where you've got a sunny exposure either in the house or in a conservatory or greenhouse or such, and can be moved outside for summertime. You have to remember that there's a period of growth and then there's a place where it starts setting bud, and you just need to let it go through that cycle. We also have found that it has a very strong root system. There's really no issues with root disease on it that we've seen. And as far as potting mixes go, it seems to tolerate most potting mixes with ease. We actually have grown this, although in the south, where South Florida and such, they grow it in areas where it gets cool at night and such. We've grown this in a warm greenhouse, and that it can take our cold greenhouses with ease, but you're going to slow your flowering down. So if you want to have this flowering going through into the winter time, you definitely need to keep it bright, sunny, and on the warm side, and warm side is probably 60 degrees. Although if you have a cold greenhouse, you certainly could grow it in it and it will thrive and survive and do very well. You just won't get quite as many flowers during the winter time as you normally would. So there's a little bit of information on our Sclerochaton harveyanus, or fanflower from South Africa. And if you'd like a little more information on it, you can go to logis.com.